it must be foolproof. Elections are sacred. When an individual casts his or her vote, they are putting their trust in the electoral process. And I am extremely confident that our system is one of the best in the world. Can it improve? Yes. Must it improve and get in line with current digital technologies? Absolutely. And I believe that we have wherewithal and the system to do it. But do we have the will to do it? That is the ultimate question.
Hello, Dr. Sabharwal. Welcome to the 7th podcast of V&V. Welcome. How are you doing?
I'm excellent, Vrind. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. I think these podcasts have been doing really well. In between our events, in between our shows, people have really been asking what has inspired Dr. Vageesh and Vrind to really get together and do these podcasts. What's your take on that?
You've inspired me, my friend.
And no, but like, what is really driven you to do the podcast? Like, what is it doing for you? Like, are you been hearing anything from people? How's the feedback been?
Feedback's been pretty good.
Yes.
In the sense that individuals who I know on a professional basis, they are getting to see the other side of my life, the more human side.
Okay.
The side where in my professional world, they really don't know exists.
Right.
See the human side of me.
That's amazing. So have people been giving you good feedback, constructive feedback? How has it been?
I've been getting very good feedback.
Okay.
I've been told, and this is anecdotal, that they love what you and I discuss. They find some benefits to them.
Yes.
And that makes me pretty happy.
Amazing. I see that how you every time we're talking, you step up your English. They use these words in there, the little masala with these English twists. I love it. So today I want to get into something interesting. I had the opportunity to do a little bit of research on this, and I've been watching it over the years. And what do you think our topic today is?
You've been doing research, so it's going to be a pretty good topic.
So I wanted to understand why young voter turnout at every election, whether it be provincial, federal, municipal, why is it low? What is it that's not interesting the youth in general to come out and vote? And the second tier to that would be, should we roll back the age a little bit more and let even younger voters come out and vote? That's my 2-tier questions to you. So just opening it up for you. First, generically, before we start getting into deeper conversation, what do you think is the reason that young voters don't generally come out to vote?
I don't believe young Canadians and voters in general are interested in the political process.
Okay.
I don't believe they know too much in terms of, or have many expectations of what's going on. It's that old adage that everyone is the same. Another factor which I believe, which in my opinion is a major deterrent or a major hindrance for the youth to vote, is the way that they are allowed to cast their vote, that they must go in physically to cast a physical vote. If voting was changed so that votes can be cast electronically at the convenience of just using their cell phone and having some sort of a verification process, I am sure that the youth would be at least a little bit more engaged, and I believe that could be statistically shown if that change is made and no other change is made at all.
So you're saying that part of the problem is the fact that they physically have to go in, and if they were allowed to vote online or digitally in any format.
Online, digitally voting on their phone. Many youth, many young Canadians,
yes,
their entire ecosystem is based around their mobile device.
Digitization.
Right? Digitization. As a consequence, if something so important such as voting is also made available on that platform, I am fairly confident that young Canadians will take advantage of that convenience and exercise their right to vote.
Fair enough. I mean, that's a valid point. Being involved in multiple businesses, I think part of the businesses that I'm involved in are very young, generational body driven business. So what does that mean is like when you look at social media marketing and branding, that's usually generated by younger adults, and my business, one of my business focuses on that. So I do get that. Like a lot of the younger generation, when you talk about like 19, 20, 23, 24, even younger, like I think they're more focused on the TikTok, Instagram, even less Facebook now. And I think more and more trends and more shifts are coming with them. So opening up such platform for them, I think would be great.
Absolutely.
Do you think, another question then on based on what you said, is politics generally complicated for youngsters?
I'm not sure if it's complicated, but I do believe it's not interesting enough for them. They're not engaged in it. And unfortunately, these conversations are not, in many cases, had at the dinner table where families discuss the need for one to exercise their right to vote. That one cast vote can make a significant difference in the trajectory of the way a city, a province, or a nation is led. And those conversations are perhaps not occurring at dinner tables. And individuals are not, at least young individuals, are not given the fact that voting is a privilege, it's a right, and a right for which our forefathers fought tremendously for, and that they should exercise that right. I believe one way to incentivize, or at least allow the youth to vote, again, like I said, digitize the process. By digitizing the process, if it's done with proper checks and measures, and I'm fairly sure that Elections Canada can definitely do that, digital voting occurs in other parts of the world as well, that we will get more voter turnout, especially from the young generation.
So you're saying it's not even being less political interest, it's more of just the voting way. But if you open up digital voting, I think a lot more people would, like even seniors, I think if worked around with, I think more people your voter turnout would just be generally higher.
Anyone who's literate with their mobile device or with the device that they could vote with.
But do you worry about cybersecurity? Do you worry about
that? The authorities have to really get a system in place, which is, for lack of a better word, it must be foolproof. Elections are sacred,
right?
In my opinion.
Of course, they are.
When an individual casts his or her vote, they are putting their trust in the electoral process.
Right.
And I am fairly confident, extremely confident, that our system is one of the best in the world. Can it improve? Yes. Must it improve and get in line with current digital technologies? Absolutely. And I believe that we have the wherewithal and the system to do it. But do we have the will to do it? That is the ultimate question.
Okay. Then bring me my next question. We do see a lot of young candidates come into politics.
Mm-hmm.
If that element is there, and we take digital voting and put it aside for a second, because that's come up multiple times now, so I understand that. Where is the disconnect? You've got lack of young voters, but you've got young political candidates.
I wouldn't say you have a lack of young voters. You just have young voters who don't go out and vote. And I don't have the scientific study for it. I don't have the data. And I'm basing my proposition here based on the simple fact of what I've heard from the youth. When I speak to my children, when I speak to my nieces and nephews, when I speak to my young patients, this is something that they have mentioned. So what I'm proposing to make voting digital, that is anecdotal. In as far as young candidates seeking office, I think that's wonderful that the youth, the young diaspora wants to get involved in the electoral process, and they want to represent their constituents, their people, to push their ideas for a better Canada, a better Ontario, or a better province or city through. However, one question I have for you
Yes.
is that when you're young,
Yes.
you're full of energy.
I am young.
And when you were younger, you probably had even more energy.
I just celebrated my sweet 16 a couple of days ago.
Congratulations. Where was the name like?
It was a private affair, 10, 12 people. No, I just put in there yeah.
So when one's young,
Yes.
where they have tremendous amounts of energy, fresh ideas,
Yes.
what they lack, just because of their age, is real world experiences.
Yes.
Experiences of failure, experiences of extremely hard work, where regardless of their hard work, they failed.
Right.
This is not a blanket statement. It's just that in general, overall, when you're young, you have less light experiences just because of the fact that you're young. Right. In political office, should not real world experiences matter?
Yes.
And if that's so, then when an individual, whether they're young or old or any age, when they go to the ballot box, they should ask, who are they voting for? Does that candidate have any experience? Does that candidate have the requirement to represent the individual in that particular jurisdiction? Are they well educated? Is that individual articulate? Is that individual articulate in one of the official Canadian languages? Has that person run a business? Has that person been a professional? Has that person have other experiences which could bring to the political diaspora something positive or a positive change?
So let me throw a little curveball at you. Sure. Right? So we've been going back and forth addressing what could we do to get more young voters out. But we haven't spoke about the utmost important thing. Are we addressing what matters to young voters? Is the political campaign of any particular party, is it addressing what young people want? Is it addressing their requirements? What are young people's requirements? What are an 18, 19, 20-year-old voter looking for? Are they looking for cheaper tuition fees? Are they looking for cheaper bus rides? Are they looking for better educational programs as a whole? More recreational programs? I'm talking about right across all party lines. It's not it could be municipal, federal, or provincial. Are we addressing those needs, maybe more sports initiatives that we can encourage them to come out and vote? The digital part is amazing, but
the digital part isn't encouraging them to vote. It's just making them
it's easier
for them to vote.
So I'm talking about encouragement now. Are political parties addressing needs of young voters? I don't know. If they're not voting it, if there's limitation in young voters coming out to vote, do you think that's also missing?
Vrind, that's a wonderful question. Having said that, I believe what many political parties do,
Yes.
come election time, they go around the zeitgeist topic of the day. In our last election, the topic was, whether we look at in the province of Ontario or whether we look at it federally, what was the topic? The topic was President Trump and his tariffs.
Which is so irrelevant.
They ran with that.
Yes.
What happened to all the other issues, such as electoral reform, such as having universities to educate our youth,
Affordable housing,
immigration,
healthcare,
everything,
infrastructure,
got thrown out the door. So what happened? The current topic of the day,
Yes.
highlighted by the media,
Yes.
it hijacked this election and it became a one-question election and one-question election only, both provincially and federally, in the recent past.
And that's disturbing.
But that's a fact.
Right.
That's a fact.
We talk about political interference. That's political interference 101.
That is, I'm not going to go on the limb and say it's political interference, but I am going to say one thing, that it is taking away all the other issues, laser focusing on one issue, and going and having a quasi-referendum on one issue and one issue only. And that is a problem. And perhaps when this happens, the youth gets disenfranchised, and they, perhaps rightfully so in their own mind, say, why should I get involved in this political process?
So you already lost the youth and now you're losing them again.
Then you have a double whammy.
I agree with you. Right? Elbows up, elbows. I don't put that in there. But I agree with you. I couldn't agree more with you. Like, this is already, or they're not engaged actually. That is, for lack of better words, they're not engaged already. And by talking about topics that are relevant to them, they might matter in the grander scheme of things, but they're not directly targeting the youngsters. So they're like, not going to go out and vote.
And do you know, according to Elections Canada, those individuals who do not engage in the electoral process by voting at an early age tend not to vote as they get older as well.
Yes.
So once
It's a pattern.
It's a pattern.
Yes.
And what bothers me, or what I question, is when you have a general election, and of the total eligible voters, you have a voter turnout of, let's say, 60% or 50%. That small cohort, or that cohort which does not represent all the potential electors, goes out, casts their vote, and individuals are winning with such low voter turnout, and the whole cycle repeats itself. Because those who don't vote say, hey, we've gone what we've always gone before, so hence we don't believe we should even vote.
And in this cycle particularly, like provincially and federally, like seats were determined by like 29, 39, 49, 250, 400 votes.
Yes.
So when you say, it doesn't matter, they got him anyways, it mattered.
Every vote counts.
We didn't show up.
Well, then you have another option. And this is what is being exercised in Australia, where you must go and vote.
Oh my God.
Because if you're an eligible voter and you do not vote, then you will get fined.
So you just took my next question. I was about to throw you two curveballs now.
Uh-huh.
And I was going to be like, should we make voting mandatory?
If you wish to make voting mandatory, then you must also listen to the voters. I'll give you a particular example.
Which party is saying, like all parties are saying that they are listening to voters? So that would be a hypocrisy in its best way then.
Well, those voters who believe that some voters do not go and vote because the choices they have on the ballot are not in line with the choice that they want.
Okay.
So there could be an option, none of the above, or none of these people satisfy what I'm looking for in a person who's going to represent me.
Okay.
Instead of wasting the ballot, you should have an option of perhaps...
But none of the above is wasting the ballot.
No, you're sending a clear message now.
So like
we're sending
all of a sudden 30 million people voted for none of the above, who forms party?
But you're sending a clear message nonetheless. The voter has to have the right to send a clear message to those individuals who are potentially going to represent that individual. And one of those is that, listen, I'm afraid that out of the 5, 10, or whatever number of candidates on this ballot, none of them, in my opinion, as a voter, will serve my interest. And as a consequence, instead of me tearing the ballot or not showing up, I have none of the above as an option. It should be an option. And I believe it is so in Australia.
So here I'm going to throw you a third curveball. Today is the day of curveball. We should call this episode curveballs, you know, because I love curveballs. I got that Donald Trump inspiration. Did you vote when you were 18, 19?
Yes, I did.
Okay. You confidently said that. So you feel that there's so much that's been put at stake. So many people have gone through so much sacrifices to make sure we have the right to vote. So you've been exercising.
I have always been personally extremely intrigued and impressed by the Canadian system. Okay. And in my heart, I know for a fact, our forefathers fought valiantly for this right of Canadians to vote. And I am going to exercise that right, not only as a Canadian, but also as a tribute and a homage to our forefathers who made many sacrifices for this privilege,
Okay.
for this right.
So then for the youth watching this podcast or youngsters, what was your driving factor at the age of 19, 20 to go out and vote? Like, what made you, like, again, yes, your forefathers have made the sacrifices as a driving factor. Yes, the sacrifices have encouraged you. But what was a deciding political statement at that time that led you to be like, you know what, I need to change, or I agree with the government, or I really need to see this particular thing moved around? Like, what was it?
I remember as a young individual when Canada had a major referendum
Yes.
on whether or not Quebec
Yes.
should seek independence from Canada.
Yes.
I was inspired by that, and that was a very, very narrow win.
Yes. 49 to 51, I believe.
Absolutely, for Canada to stay one and united as a country. And I realized at that time, at a very young age,
Yes.
that every single vote counts.
And that was under the leadership of Jean Chrétien.
Jean Chrétien, Prime Minister Jean Chrétien at that time.
Yes.
And that was a very proud day
Yeah.
for myself when that verdict came out, when that result was announced that Canada is staying united. I was a very happy person.
Amazing.
It's like, for me, it
I
was,
see the smile on your face.
for me, it was like the Toronto Maple Leafs had won the Stanley Cup.
Oh, so you have to dig that one in there, right? Use it.
It was that much of a moment for me.
Right. So what? So at least you got one win because Toronto Maple Leafs have a really good.
We're gonna
wait.
We're getting there. We're heading there.
It's amazing. Okay, so with that being said, I know I've been, this podcast, I'm really going at questions with you. So I have to give you a little bit of a breather. So with that being said, I'd like to wrap this up. I really appreciate it.
Before you wrap it up, I have a question for you.
Yes.
It's about the voting age in Canada.
Yes.
Currently, the voting age is 18.
Yes.
There are some grassroots movements which want that age to go lower.
I would take it, Laura.
To what age?
I'd take it to 60.
16.
Why? Because if you're old enough to pay taxes, you're old enough to vote.
It's that right.
Yeah, that's the thing. And besides even old enough to pay taxes, with what's being taught in schools today, a lot of people might be in agreement, or a lot of people might be in disagreement in terms of certain programs, and I don't want to go into detail. But if you can teach that in schools, you can teach individuals, students, young voters, young adults, young teenagers on how you should vote, what makes a good vote, and what a strong political party looks like. And it can be any party. Don't sway their vote, but teach them strong politics. Teach them strong economics. Teach them what AI of the future is going to look like, so they can go out and make a healthy decision. Because if 16, 17-year-olds start voting, I'm telling you that they are the definition of a better and brighter Canada, because they are the future of Canada. And if you get them voting young, and as you said, it's a pattern. So when they start voting at 16, they get to vote again and again and again and again in most circumstances. And that's what you want. You want to start them young. You want to educate them. You want to teach them.
Absolutely. I do agree with the fact that in our educational system,
Yes.
we must present all the facts of all the choices the youth have, the students have,
Yes.
and let the students themselves make that decision. Obviously, these decisions are not made in isolation.
Right.
There are times when, these topics are discussed at the dinner table, usually around election time.
Yes.
But I have no issue in having well-informed, well-educated youth going to the ballot boxes and striking and giving the check mark for the candidate that they believe can best serve their interests.
I love it. I love how you threw that curveball on me. So thank you, Dr. Vageesh, for coming again to this. That's beautiful segment. I think this was a good podcast. A lot of youth should go out and watch this. A lot of youngsters should watch this. Take something from this, because I think every day we can learn. We can learn something. So we need to keep our openness to learning. And if they don't learn, they should at least be inspired from something we said today and go out and vote. Because every vote matters, every vote counts, and the younger you start voting, the greater impact you start making at such a young age.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Dr.
Thanks,
Sabharwal. Take care.